Adam Lewis, and I'm here with...
It's your girl, Justice.
Yes. Finally, we're back and gonna do kind of like some current events, a little bit, something like that.
Something like that today.
I think there's an umbrella topic, but I'll cover these topics. Which one we're gonna get into first?
What was it? The one, honestly, do you want to get the one with the two girls first? The two little girls? Because that one kind of blew my mind a little bit.
That's fine with me. That one's pretty funny, actually. I thought it was pretty funny.
Me too. So you can go ahead and start this off.
All right, so for anybody who doesn't know, two little girls were kicked out of a school called Chapel Hill. It's a private Christian school. It's in Ohio. It's in, what part of Ohio is it in? Give me 1 second. It's in Akron, Ohio. So they were kicked out of the school, and they've been attending the school for, I believe, years, if I'm not mistaken. And they were recently kicked out because their mother committed adultery. Now, what the pastor told her, and also the director of the school, or the administrator, said that because they have two different fathers, that the mother was living in sin, so they couldn't be part of the school. It goes against their morals. So that's pretty much what happened. And she feels, and they had not only that, they had a scholarship to go to that school, and that's like the only school that she wants them to go to, or the only one that's closer around to them, or something like that, something to that extent. So she felt the only way to solve her problem was to go to the news because they weren't listening to her. So what do you think about that?
First off, how do you blame children for something that their parents have done? The two little girls have nothing to do with what her mother did. And in 2019, who really cares that two children were brought about in this world by two different dads? It's not that serious. But I don't think this is just about them. Well, I don't think this is just about her mother committing adultery, though, because it doesn't make sense to me. You can't tell me, you can't sit there and tell me that with all those people in that school, I'm not sure how big the school is or how many kids they actually have, but every adult is abiding specifically by the rules that are set, that or the morals that the school wants to follow. So every single parent hasn't committed any adultery. They haven't sinned in any kind of way. They haven't lied. They haven't stolen. They haven't done any of that. All the other adults are clean except that one.
In the article, it says that other parents at the school are unmarried and have, obviously have children going there.
Right.
So, it says it in the article. But I guess, the pastor felt some type of way about her or something like that. He also gave her recommendations on how to improve her life and how to, like one of the improvements was for her to have kids by one man. But that's just what pastors do, and she's also going to, she signed them up. I understand what you're saying, but you got to think she signed them up for a Christian school.
I get that, but at the same time, it's not that serious, and you're basically denying these children a good education over something their mother has done, which they cannot change. Like, for example, I have 7 siblings. We all don't have the same father, but we have the same mother, right? So it's one of those things where I'm wondering, is it because of, well, just for anybody who's listening, the two kids are black and the mother is black, right? Yeah. So I'm wondering how much race has to play into this, because again, you did state that in the article. It says that there are parents there who are unmarried and their children are still attending the schools. So what I really want is for everybody to keep that same energy. So if the pastor is going to have a problem with this particular mom, then he needs to have a problem with any and every parent that doesn't, quote unquote, live up to the morals that is set by this Christian church. And I think that's my biggest issue with it. Like, don't do the black people like that. Do everybody like that, okay? If you find out, go ahead.
And I didn't really go there at first because I wasn't thinking that because of where it is. I don't really know how the diversity of Akron, Ohio. I've never been there, but as I know a lot of Black people from Ohio, and so I didn't assume that it had anything to do with race. I was like, it all to me was she signed them up for a Christian school, but then I did read that part of the article where it said that other parents are unmarried at the school too that have kids. So I would have to see what the pastor looks like or in the dynamic of the school, what's going on there before I took it there, because I'm not sure how Ohio, Akron, Ohio, their diversity is, or at the school how diverse it is.
I tried not to take it there either, but it doesn't make sense to me, because I don't believe that every parent, every adult is on the up and up, especially with something like that, especially with as I get older, as I start to understand relationships, about how things can get messy, about how we just as adults are in general. All right,
but let me play devil's advocate though, because
go ahead.
Remember you said it's not that serious, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being part of a religion is a choice. It should be a choice, even though we forcibly put it on kids all the time. But it should be a choice, right?
Very true. Go ahead.
So she's choosing to send her kids to a private Christian school. So who are we to say to these Christians that their religion is not that serious when they're at it? They went out of their way to create a Christian school to teach their Christian children, and they're these Christian people. So who are we to step in and say it's not that serious? They still need to deserve to be there, even though this follower didn't follow the rules.
I respect that point, but again, I'm not sure how large that school is. I'm not sure how many students they have, but you can't tell me every parent is on the up and up. And it doesn't just have to be with adultery. It could be with something as simple as like stealing. It could be something like lying. It could be anything.
I agree. That's what I'm saying. I agree that they need to do that with everyone. That whole school will probably be empty by the time they're done.
Exactly.
Until I see some further information, I need to see why this happened, because they around the same time that this happened, well, before they got kicked out, they had there's an altercation that they had on the school bus where police were called, and I believe it was because one of the daughters or the little girls was talking to one of her friends or something. The bus driver felt that they were making too much noise, and she wanted her to come sit up in the front, and she didn't want to, or something like that. And it happened twice, and the second time the police were called. I don't know if it has anything to do with that, and the mother also said that she doesn't know if it has anything to do with that. She doesn't think it does either.
Okay.
But that was I read that part of that, so I just had to throw that in there.
No, I think it's interesting. I think it's, again, I would have to look into this a little bit more myself and see if there was anybody else who was kicked out along the same guidelines. And it doesn't necessarily have to be adultery, but I would like to know if they've done this to any other student, based upon what their parent has done. And again, it's you're blaming children, or you're punishing children for what their parents have done, and it's literally not their fault. Like, those two girls can't help the fact that they were born to different dads. It has nothing to do with them. Their mother just wants to give them a better opportunity in education. And I think that's what she was trying to do, but she didn't understand that they came with, obviously, this contract that could
That's what I was about to get to, is here's where things get messy. Because it's not the kid's fault, but it is the mother's fault. Her choosing to be a part of a religion that she wasn't going to follow, or she didn't fully understand, and she calls herself. That's part one. Why are you a part of this religion that you don't follow the guidelines, and then now you put your children in the crossfire of this kind of stuff because you're a part of a religion you don't fully understand or you don't follow? Not only that, but before they were admitted into the school, she had to sign a contract. Where I put that in the notes. She signed a contract. Oh, here it is. Parents sign an agreement, and it's a commitment to Christ. That's also a part of that religion. So she committed herself and her children to Christ when she signed that paper, and they were supposed to follow the rules as it was written, not only in that school but in the Ten Commandments and in the Bible. She signed them up for all of that. Now she didn't read that. That's a whole nother problem we could get into. Right. Sounds like this mother didn't really understand what she was signing herself and her kids up for.
Okay, I can agree with that point, but just to play devil's advocate for her, I'm not blaming the religion so much as I'm blaming people and what they do with the religion, because people oftentimes at various instances decide what they want to follow in religion and what they do not. For example, if you look in the Bible, and if you consider yourself a Christian of any kind, I'm going to bring up 2 points here, but if you look in the Bible, and if you consider yourself a Christian of any kind, you shouldn't be eating any kinds of shellfish at all whatsoever, because it specifically says like you're not supposed to eat shrimp and things like that. Also, Jesus, right? Exactly. Also, Jesus never identified himself as a Christian. Like, he never said he was a Christian. He never even said this was like a specific religion. He said to follow God and God's teachings. So it's not necessarily the religion itself, it's people and what they use and what they try to put out there as far as what guidelines they think that people should follow. I would agree with it if they had that same kind of energy for every parent there, because I can guarantee you, I could care less even if it's like only 200 students at that school, I can guarantee you within those 200 students, probably a good majority of them don't have like a 2-parent household in which there are circumstances where people may have been divorced, or there's some kind of nefarious circumstances with their own parents. And that's not to put others down, but that's just the reality of the situation. I just want to make sure that they're keeping that same energy across the board, and they're not
just that we live in today, right? Because the divorce rate is super high and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then so I think what's deeper is this religion may be a little outdated for the world we live in today.
That's a good point.
Not that, but we should separate education and religion like we do church and state, but we don't do that. It's written on the money.
We don't.
So I think there's a bigger problem, and these people are just caught in the middle of it because of their ignorance.
I think so too. I think, but more than anything, I'm inclined to believe that because of the 2 girls' race or their ethnicity or whatever people want to call it, that this happened to them specifically more so because of that. That they looked at their contract, understood that it was a loophole, understood that the 2 children were from different fathers, and decided to proceed that way. For whatever reason it may be, that's just my personal opinion, because again, you can't tell me within the other students there, you don't have a situation that may not be like that, but there are other rules or regulations or sins that the parents have committed that would then fall upon the students themselves. Like, I refuse to believe that. So that's just me though.
I would like to get my hands on that contract that she signed.
Mm-hmm.
I want to read that.
Because
I could bid to God, or to Christ.
Right. Because that's a very interesting contract that she signed.
She also said that Christians shouldn't judge.
Right.
I thought that was funny, but because all the, like you said, they pick and choose the parts that they want to use out of the Bible. Like there's certain parts that they'll take it out of one of the scriptures and use it for their argument, but they don't read the whole thing, or they don't fully go into it.
Exactly. Which is why I don't necessarily blame the religion. I blame people. Because people, we do what we want to do at the end of the day. If we want to follow something, we'll follow certain parts, but we're following certain parts that we feel best reflect our lives and what we want to promote, but we won't follow all of it. which is, I don't know. If people were just
Also,
more honest about the situation, it wouldn't be that much of an issue. But we're not honest about that. But go ahead.
that was, I think another part that I forgot to mention was she lives with a partner and she's unmarried still, and that's against the rules in the Bible.
Yeah, and you're not supposed to.
I think it's a number of things that was counted against her that are probably all stacked up. And they're like, all right, she's not following our Christian rules.
I think so too. But again, how can you punish the two children for something that she has done? And it goes to this. It's like, are her sins, are her quote unquote sins being reflected in the children in any kind of way? Meaning, are they misbehaving? Are they not meeting up to the school standards in their educational system? Because if that's the case, then I get it. I understand it. It makes a lot more sense. However, if that's not the case, then obviously what she's doing, her quote unquote sins, aren't necessarily affecting the children. Then move on. But that's just me. Again, you're right though. She signed a contract. She agreed to abide by these rules. And however,
they may take it really seriously.
However, don't know how long the girls have been going to the school. I just thought about this though. So I'm pretty sure before the girls were going to the school, the situation already was what it was. Like, I'm sure she had already had the two girls by different dads and everything before, like, she signed the contract for the school. So the school was already aware of the situation, right? So if they're citing, what I'm saying is, if they're citing the situation, meaning that the two girls having different dads as the issue, I'm sure when she first initially signed them up, they already knew that they had two different dads.
I don't think, maybe they didn't though. Maybe it happened throughout the course of them having conversations and all that kind of stuff, because the pastor and the mom sat down and talked before. That's how she got to record the conversation she recorded.
Okay.
And she showed a paper of pointers and stuff that he gave her. So they were probably having a conversation, and he was probably counseling her or something like that, and found those kind of things out. And then he sees that, all right, maybe she's not right for this school or this environment because she doesn't, fit our curriculum or whatever it may be.
That's interesting. Okay. I can concede that, but I think it's hard to believe. I just find it hard to believe that they probably didn't know that these two girls didn't have different dads, or again, that there was something about this mother's lifestyle that they didn't agree with. Not saying that she had to get too personal, but when you bring documentation to the school, I know for kids and all of this, you find out just a little bit about people's lives. But I don't know. I just think that's interesting.
That would be a lot different if it wasn't a private Christian school. Because when you do that, you're already giving up personal information, and you're getting into a religion. That's a religion that you're going to a church essentially every day. So you send your children to a church.
I agree with that. No, I agree with that, but I also think they're hiding a little bit behind the religion as to why is it these two students were expelled. So, but yeah, that's all I got to say about that one. I just thought it was kind of interesting about those two little girls.
That was definitely very interesting. That was I don't see it. It wouldn't make the news though if this was a white family though. I also think that it wouldn't be on the news because they wouldn't want to publicize this. The news wouldn't show it. I don't think so.
Do you think so though? Because I think it would make the news. I think people would think it's utterly ridiculous. Either way it goes, I think people would think it's utterly ridiculous, whether it was black kids or white kids, because it just in the world that we live in right now, honestly, it doesn't make sense.
We have to throw this part in there though. That, are you Christian?
I don't consider myself Christian, not at all. I'm a Baha'i.
I definitely don't fucking consider myself a Christian. So our opinion is biased right now. So if we were of that religion, we would probably have different sentiments about this whole situation. And if our parents were living by the actual, rules of that book of the Bible and the 10 Commandments and all that stuff, we might have totally different ideas about what's going on about this. That's why I'm saying that keep throwing that religion part in there, because a lot of people take the religion very seriously. And she signed up for something that people take seriously, and she didn't.
They do, but like again, I'm just we pick the parts that we like, and then the parts that we don't like, we decide that they're not really there, or maybe the times have changed and things like that. So I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not 100% sure about that one. I think I would still question those ideas to a degree, because again, I see people eating shrimp. Like they still do certain things that they're not necessarily supposed to do, and we just bypass it. She's like, oh well, whatever. So
but then I would say to that, that's the same thing as when other races categorize Black people as something, when there's some of us that don't behave that way, and we're like, that's not all of us.
That's true.
So somewhere listening to us right now, there's a Christian like, hey, that's not all of us. I don't do that.
That's true.
I don't do this. Like,
that's a good point.
So I think about that. I think about it that kind of way, and so I feel some type of way about it, because if that was like say a Pan-African school or something, and we had rules, you got to follow them. And if you're not following them, I'm gonna feel some type of way about it.
Right. You're right. I would like a little bit more information, because again, I don't think everybody's parents is on the up and up. Just because we're human beings, we all can't live to a certain standard. So if they did that for other kids, that's fine. If they did not do that for other kids, there's an issue. So that's all. That's all I can say about that.
All right. What's the next one? You guys start off with the next one. It's your turn.
Okay. Let's talk about the college admission scandal. So I think that's a big one, since we're on the school topics. So for anybody who doesn't know, basically what we have been joking about for years is true. And on some level, we all knew it was true. We just didn't know how it was being done. So there are actually several ways to do this, but let me just break down the story as it is right now. So women like Felicity Huffman, but also just rich people in general, were paying to either get their students into certain schools like Yale.
Kids.
Huh? Yep.
Students are kids.
They're kids, right? So like Yale, Harvard, USC, Stanford, basically just like big schools, right? They were paying to either get them into school or get their kids to get better SAT scores or things like that. So paying for people to actually go in and take the SAT for them, saying that they were tennis players and crew players, sports that they had never done before. They were
photoshopping
their pictures to make it seem like they were like tennis champions and things like that.
I just say that should have gave it away a long time ago, with how much technology we have and how many people call out, hey, that's Photoshop, every time somebody posts a picture. Nobody caught that.
You know what? That may have been the first domino. Somebody may have looked at that picture and was like, that's not right. Let me look into this a little bit more. And then it just kind of, it became like a snowball from there. But either way, basically they're just paying to get away into school. And I think the most interesting part of this is that I can't say this for all the kids, but I remember one of the kids, she has her own YouTube channel, right? And she was like, I don't even give a fuck about going to school. I'm just there for the parties. I'm there for the experience.
I think that's the one they keep calling Aunt Becky from like Full House or something.
Yeah, I think that's her child. There's so many reasons why I have a problem with this, but the main one is, especially if you know anything about USC, if you are in LA, if you know anything about that area, the University of Southern California is in the hood, Let me say that one more time, people. The University of Southern California is in the hood. It's smack dab in the middle of the hood. When you go to the University of Southern California, around it is the hood. You have little boys and little girls who grow up, who look at that university, and they will probably never get into it. Ever get into it. Not necessarily based upon their merits, as we see now, but because you have rich people literally paying their way to get into that school. And for that girl to say what she said, I don't really give a fuck about the school. Like I care more about the experience. Man, that hurt my soul. But it goes back to what we've been saying for a while now. This isn't something that we don't know. And there's actually more of a legal way to do it. I wanted to talk about that part too. So if someone were to donate like a building or donate lab,
Dr. Dre.
Yeah, for example, right? All of a sudden, their kid has like a spot. They have a spot at the university now, right? And what they try to say, it's like it's a legacy thing. So, your kid went to this school, or because you donated this building, not your kid, but you have gone to this school, or since you donated this building, now your kid is like more likely to get into the school. It's I don't know. This is one of the things that really like hurts my heart, just because I have friends. I didn't do that well in school. I'm the first one to admit it. But I have friends who work their asses off to get into certain schools in senior year. And I saw them cry because they didn't get into the school that they wanted to. And it's heartbreaking to know that one of the reasons they probably didn't get into that school is because some snot-nosed, dumbass, rich kid who doesn't belong there anyway paid their way to get into the school. But I'm going to let you rock. What do you think about this?
Well, I feel the same way, and she's definitely right. USC is in the hood. I think what they're paying for was the name, because if you go to a less known school with better grades, and somebody else goes to USC with worse grades than you have, they could still get that job because of USC, because of what happens there, the people they meet.
Yep.
Not too sure about the fraternities they have, but probably the fraternities too, and the sororities and all that stuff. The connections you make when you're there. So I think that's what they were paying for, and they didn't want to wait or put it to chance, because possibly they saw that their kids weren't that intelligent, so they had to pay for it, just like everything else that they want. I think there's something that happens to rich people that when they're rich for a while, that I think, because I'm not rich, so I'm just speculating. But I think that they get this like sense of entitlement, and then that on top of them being white in America, they already felt entitled. So they just thought they could just do whatever they want with no consequences.
I agree with that part, because I believe in one of the reports I was reading, they said that it was either Felicity Huffman or the Aunt Becky chick. They might be the same person. I don't know. White people are white people to me. But I'm sorry, y'all. However, they said that when they were telling her about her charges and they were like negotiating a plea deal, she didn't think this was a big deal. She was like, all right, I understand what's going on, but like, this isn't a big deal. And even went as far as to, when she got out of the courtroom, to take pictures with fans, quote unquote. So from that right there, she doesn't understand what the hell is going on. She doesn't understand how serious this is. Laura Loughlin? Is that the unbecky? Is that the unbecky chick?
Yeah, I think the difference between them two was the amount of money. I think this one, Becky or Lori Loughlin, spent like $500,000, and the other one spent $15,000.
I would be mad if I spent $500,000 and she spent $15,000. I'm just saying.
No, I think it was for different things though. Like, let me make sure. Like, and let me just throw this in there too, because the article that I'm on, it's funny. The headline, what it is. but it says that Hoffman, the one that I'm on right now, Felicity Hoffman, paid $15,000 for a 36-year-old Harvard graduate to correct her daughter's answers on the SAT, giving the girl a 400-point boost.
Wow.
Compared to her previous score.
Wow. 400 points. Wow.
They're saying that that's a relatively small amount compared to some of the other parents who forked over as much as $500,000. And this is from the Los Angeles Times.
$500,000 just to get their dumbass kid in the school who don't want to go anyway.
Yeah. And then what I wanted to say about this headline though is the way that they frame white people in the media is very interesting. Because when you read the first thing that you read when you go to this article, it says remorseful Felicity Hoffman could get home confinement over prison. That first word that you read is the key.
Yep.
Remorseful? How do you know how she feels?
Yep.
He's remorseful? Like that's crazy how they just put that for her, you know? They're just trying to make you feel some type of sympathy when you first start reading the article. That's crazy.
So, something else I wanted to bring up. In Texas, there was a woman who was using her mother's address so that her children could go to a better school. She got prison time for that, people. Like, I think a good 7 years, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that, but I think a good 7 years. And a lot of people, white people really, were saying, well, she deserves that because that's the law. You're not supposed to do that. But just what you said right there, the headline with Felicity Hoffman is that she's remorseful, right? Remorseful. But this black woman is being demonized literally for changing the address. Just changing the address, just so her kids can go to a better school, because she knows that the schools in her neighborhood are shitty. And another point is that, if I'm not mistaken, I forgot the exact number, but I was reading the article where it said that the amount of money that school districts with the majority white students, I think is about like a billion or something like that, compared to students with like a black or brown majority district, and it's like significantly less than that. So basically their schools are way more funded than our schools are, and I know that there are many things that go into that, so I don't want to just play the race factor into that. However, I do think it has something to do with it, and which is one of the reasons why a woman, the black woman who changed her address so her kids could go to a different school, would do something like that. I don't agree with how this whole situation is being handled. I think all of those parents should be given hard prison time, because obviously in the situation of the black woman, they didn't give a fuck. She literally changed their address. They're paying for students to get into school. They're taking spots away from that teenager who
worked hard. That really worked hard.
Worked so hard, busted their ass.
Indoctrinated in this system
for 4 years. For 4 years, just to get a rejection letter, so your dumbass kids can go to school. And they don't even want to fucking be there. That's the thing. They don't even want to be there.
It's because they know that the things that we get from going to college, they could do already. Why do they need to do that? That's how they're thinking. Like, why do I need to do that? I'm already rich.
Oh. I
could talk to whoever I want.
There you go.
I have all these kind of connections on social media, all that kind of stuff. Why do I need to go to a college?
I think you just got it right there. That's it right there. They already have those connections. They already have those setups. And there are certain, now mind you, there are certain careers that I think that everybody should go to school for. For example, if you're a doctor, I need you to go to school. And if you're a lawyer, I need you to go to school. Now mind you, there are other careers, but there are many careers, I believe, that you can just start without necessarily having to go to school. And I think it's fucked up how these children, how people were basically, how this whole narrative is being framed. I think a lot of people are making fun of it, and they're not seeing it as big deal as big of a deal as it is. The fact that many people are willing to shell out this kind of money just to get their kid in. So if I'm not mistaken, right? Not only are they paying for this kid to get into the school, but does that mean that when those kids get into school, they're still having to pay for their tuition?
I was wondering that too, and I believe so. That's like they're just bribing. They're just bribing them. That's extra on the side. So they're dishing out a lot of money
just to get their kid into school, though. Like, it's unfair.
It's sad. It's sad. They could say, I'm a USC alum.
But think about that though, because so many times, I remember when I would go to like these certain schools, when I was looking at prospective schools in high school, right? And I always got the sense from certain people, depend upon the school, but like a UCLA to a degree even, but especially a USC, that there, right? Like, it would be a privilege for me to go there, and even if I did, I wouldn't necessarily fit in, or how they would get mad, right? Or like just how they would get mad when there was a certain quota, I forgot what it was, but like a certain quota for African American students just to get in, how there was hell raised over that, right? Just hell raised over that. But you literally have people paying to get into the school. I don't know.
I think they didn't know what they wanted to do at all. So they just forced them into that, like, you're just sitting around, I'm gonna make you go to school. And because you're stupid though, I have to pay all this money
to get you in.
Yeah.
You're a dumbass.
I think it was like that, and because it had to be going on for a long time. I think they're just first ones to get caught, and it's getting this much publicity because of who they are. But I think they're just the first ones to get caught on this big of a scale. I think it's just been always happening.
Oh, definitely.
Because how many people in power do you see, like the president, who have went to colleges, prestigious colleges, and then you hear them talk, and you're like, this person went to what school?
George W. Bush.
So I think this has been happening for a long time. It's just the people that got caught this time. They're like, all right, this is going to be news. It's going to be big news.
I agree. And I have a question for you within that frame. So it's kind of going to lead us into this other topic, but we as Black people, I feel like sometimes we try to conform too much to society, right? So instead of us creating our own, and I'm going to sound like a separatist when I say this, and I honestly don't give a damn. Instead of us creating and promoting our own, we fight so hard to get into or to be a part of certain things, right? So instead of embracing like a Howard University, and this will definitely lead into our next topic, instead of embracing the Howard Universities, the Spelmans, the Morehouse, the HBCUs and things of that nature, the universities that was holding us down when we literally could not go anywhere else, I will make an exception and say that the universities in California, it was different with them because if I'm not mistaken, there was no law against that in California. So we could always like enter into those universities. But again, we fight so hard to get into those universities or the hotels, or to be a part of even like something like the Grammys or something like that, and we're constantly disrespected. The question I have is it's like, why do we do that? That's not a question that you have to answer right now. This is something that you could think about. But again, I think I'm more of a separatist in this sense. For example, this is easy for me to say because I did not live in that time. I don't know what it was like to live in that time, but during the whole civil rights area, or not area, but era, where many people were like literally fighting for their basic human rights, right? That part I don't have the issue with. The issue that I have is it seems like, and I could be completely wrong about this situation, but this is just my opinion. It just felt like many Black people were begging to get into institutions that didn't respect them. So I'll give an example, right? Let's say you're fighting to get into this hotel, right? But you get into the hotel and there's still a fight because they'll probably give you the smallest rooms that they possibly can. So now you got to fight for that.
Oh, that guest didn't want to that in the first place.
Right. And then it's, okay, now they're fucking with your food. So then you got to fight for that. Okay. And then they won't hire anybody that looks like you. So then now you got to fight for that. And there's all this fighting. And with me...
Or in that time, everybody that works there does look like you, and they're being treated horribly while you're sitting there eating, chilling comfortably.
Right.
Even if your food is messed with, or it's like the opposite, it's fine, but you're killing it while everybody else is being done horribly.
Exactly. So there's that. But like with me, I don't give a fuck about getting into your hotel. If you don't want me to be in your hotel, that's fine. I'm gonna build a hotel right across the street. I just want to be able to build a hotel across the street. Know that you won't bomb it, you won't fuck with it, you won't find some way to shut it down. And that hotel is where my people will go to. And I will uplift that hotel, and I will put my money in that hotel. That's me. That's the kind of person I am. That's how I think. I don't think that as Black people we should beg or like constantly try to fight to get our way to enter into these organizations or into these institutions that don't respect us and that will never respect us. And maybe Black people are getting that sense now, but that's a feeling I've always had. And I want to know your thoughts about it, because I feel like we've done this whole game, especially in America, for years now, where we're constantly fighting for this respect thing that we'll never get, instead of just focusing on ourselves and our own.
I think that it's the same that it's always been as far as us and our struggle in America. It's that there's a few people who see what needs to happen and they push for it to happen. But then there's the mass of us that are blind sheep, that are doing what the Joneses are doing, want to do what the Joneses are doing. They want to be the same way as the culture that put them in the predicament that they're in. So they want to go to that hotel because it makes them look like they're doing well for themselves. They want to be seen like the white people. It's like we have Stockholm syndrome. We want to do what they do. We want to eat the bland things they eat. We want to just... I don't understand it. It's the same as when people want to wear these high fashion things from Italy and all this stuff like that. And like, there's
Gucci's and the Louis and the dumb shit.
Clothes, you know, like there's. I don't understand it at all. I don't understand it.
Okay. I wanted your opinion on it because I wanted to know if I was tripping or maybe if there was something I was missing. And if there is something I was missing, and as far as our listeners, you have a little bit more insight about that, please let me know. But I'm of the mindset of, I don't want to fight to get into somewhere where you still don't respect me. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to fight for is that respect, which is something we'll never get. We'll continuously fight for in America. But go ahead.
You could see that they want to be a part of the in group, or the masses of people that I was speaking of. They want to be a part of that in group, like IN. They want to be, popular. Like, I don't know. I think there's just something, unfortunately, in human nature that wants to be part of the group and to be outlier or rogue from that is scary, because when you're out there by yourself, it's just you, and you got to stand on what the things that you say. If you're in the group, everybody's there backing you up on the BS that they're spitting at you, because it's a mob mentality. So you don't have to be correct. You can just go with the mob. You don't have to take that you're wrong either, because you're with the mob. If you're standing by yourself, you're standing on your own, you have to take both of those and take them on the chin when it happens to you. People are scared of that.
But to that, I would say there's somewhere we can go where we literally can build that, where we don't have to have that issue. But a lot of people would still love to deal with the issues here we have in America, instead of starting over and going somewhere else where you won't have those issues, where it's literally not because of your race, and that respect thing is there already. It's already instilled. I don't know what he would say.
Or they look exactly like us, but then I think we still find something to fight over.
I think so too. I don't think. Okay, so what I'm talking about, people, just to let you guys in on the conversation, is basically, I've been a big proponent of Black people anywhere, but especially here in America, going back to Africa, and building Africa up. And I mean Africa as a whole, but literally starting with one country and going from there. And I agree with you, Adam. I think there would be things that we would find to fight over, but I would much rather those issues, and I would much rather us come together as a people than trying to force people to respect us who never will respect us.
I agree.
Go ahead.
I don't understand why you want to be in the midst of the people who enslaved you in the first place.
That part.
It doesn't. If we weren't in the position that we're in, we have been deprived of generational wealth, I wouldn't live in this country. There's no way I would be here. I would have left a long time ago. Like, it's that Stockholm syndrome. Like, why do you want to be around your captors still? Why do you literally want to be around the person who raped you?
Yeah.
Why do you want to stay around them? Like, I don't understand this kind of things. Like, maybe it's just like, I don't know. Like, people just baffle me with those kind of stuff. Like, it's like what do they call them? The battered wives, and they have the same kind of thing. Like, oh, they won't do it again. It's not gonna happen this time. But then, it's literally like a battered wife. It won't happen again. But look, now they're killing you. They're killing you. You're dying. They're killing you in front of your eyes, and it just happens over and over and over again. But saying, no, it's not gonna happen again. Not my son. Not my daughter. Until it happens to you. Until it directly hits your family, then you want to change, and you want to, then you want to go have a rally and all that kind of stuff. Where were you when it happened to those other people that look just like you?
Exactly.
All stand up at the same time and just take care of it. We'll be done at once together.
Right.
And if we all go out at once, then at least we tried. And it was all us together standing. And they can't kill all of us.
They cannot.
Yeah, they can't. Right. It's impossible.
They cannot kill all of us.
They could literally kill every Black person on the planet and miss one, and our genes are so strong, we coming back with full force.
Oh God!
Not that, but the sun is gonna take care of half of the work. You wasn't built for this environment.
It's true though. It's so true.
Like that. Knowing that stuff like that alone, I don't see how people are scared. What are you scared of, knowing something like that? But if you don't know, then I understand, and that's where knowledge is power. That's where that part comes in. We got to teach. We got to tell people.
Sure.
They never seen it. They never heard it. How are they supposed to know? But with knowledge like that, how could you ever be scared of anyone? What?
Right.
You know what my genes could do to your family? You don't like me? You're racist? All right. One day, somebody from my family is gonna meet somebody from yours, and you're gonna have to be a part of this, whether you like it or not.
Exactly. Like, it's done. It's done. And what I want to make clear here, people, is that we're not talking about Black domination, but Black liberation. I'm not one of those people where, because I've heard this, and we got to be very careful about this. There are some people who like speak to Black liberation, but it's not really Black liberation. It's just their chance to hold the whip. I don't want to hold the whip. I just want our Black people to really be respected, and treat themselves as the beautiful people that we are. And I think part of that is us coming together and building Africa as the continent that it's meant to be, instead of many countries having their hands in the pot and being like, well, why are they so poor? Like, there's a reason why, because you're taking all the motherfucking resources. France, that Notre Dame shit. I'm sorry. My bad. We gonna get to that.
It was I wanted to say about that too. All right, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna say it if I hope that I remember. But
okay. Write it down like right now so that you remember that shit. But we can so there are like two topics that we can get into next. One of them I was thinking could be the Notre Dame situation versus the 3 Black churches, how people are responding to it. Or we can talk about Howard University and how white people just have no respect for Black people again.
I think we go to, since we're talking about what we're just talking about, we go to Howard University.
Okay. So,
I can't. There's something I wanted to say about that, what you just said, because
go ahead and say it.
That Black liberation. I'm trying to remember because I was writing the other thing down. But that Black liberation thing is, I think they're scared of that because they're scared that if we ever get into power, we're gonna do what they did to us, and I don't think we have that, we don't feel that same way because we're already so, we're good. Once you just leave us alone, we're good already.
Oh, God.
You don't have to do the same thing we did to you,
That part right there. That part right there. Now, there will be a few who feel that way, but, like, I'm not one of those people. As long as you leave me and mine the fuck alone, there's no issue. Like, there literally will be absolutely no issue. And that's the problem. But to go ahead and to get into this this next topic. So Howard University has been around 152 years, people. I want to mention that first. But
because I wrote that down. Because when I looked that up, I was like, wait, hold on, what?
Yep.
Wants to do what about it? It's been around since 1867.
Yep.
March 2nd.
Yep. And for you dumbass people out there, because I know we got some dumbass people out there who are asking the question, well, why do we have historically Black colleges and universities anyway? Isn't that racist? I'm going to tell you why it's not racist, bitch. Because in 1816, we couldn't go to Harvard, bitch. We couldn't go to Mississippi State, bitch. We couldn't go to any of those universities, all right? So what do we have to do? We literally had to create colleges and universities that were our own, that accepted our own, so that we could get educated. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is why we didn't have historically Black colleges.
We had to.
We had to.
In our youth.
There was no other way.
Had to do that.
Exactly. There you go, people. Okay? Which is why they are still around. Mind you, because of funding, because we don't get the funding that the UCLA's and the USC does, right? We are not able to keep up those universities. And we should. We should, as a Black people, do a better job of that. Or go back to Africa. Whichever one works for me. However, the latter, right. The latter. But to get back to Howard University. So if you know anything about DC, DC is being gentrified like every city. Like they're about to do to Chicago. But we'll get to that. DC is being gentrified, like Los Angeles, like New York, places where historically you would see Black people. Like, for example, in New York, it would be Brooklyn, the Bronx, what is it, Harlem. You're now seeing a whole bunch of white people. In LA, where places you would
Central Park used to be what you call it?
Central Park.
Runaway African shantytown or city.
And then they kicked all the Black people out and built a park. That's another story for another day, people. We can get into that shit too. In LA, where you're used to seeing Inglewood and other places as mainly Black, we're being pushed out of there too, and they're now calling it Iwood. P.S. to anybody, if I hear you call Inglewood Iwood, I'm gonna slap the shit out of you. That's kind of fun. But I want to. That's kind of how I feel about the situation, because Iwood, for real, like, just say Inglewood. Let's keep it pushing. Anyway, here in DC, everything is being gentrified. I know, because the area I live in, I constantly see white people, and it makes me sad. Because what happens is with gentrification, and gentrification wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing if it didn't happen the way it happens. But what happens is white people get in here, the prices go up, and Black people who've lived there all their lives now cannot afford to live there. Ladies and gentlemen, exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, I met a woman who lived in her home for 51 years. Her home was completely paid off. The only reason why she had to move was because she could no longer afford the taxes. 51 years. 51 had been there. She had paid that house off. She could no longer afford the taxes, and she had to move. That is some bullshit, and that's what's happening in major cities. But to get back to the story, so Howard University had a story on the news where Howard students were saying, "Hey, listen, Howard is a private university. When people come to this university, it's fine for the most part. We don't mind people roaming the halls of our university. However, there's an issue with people just like."
I'm gonna just throw that out there. Wait, they should, because they should have a problem with, especially if it's being gentrified. Because when you use the word like gentrified, that means usually it's a Black neighborhood and there's white people coming in there.
Yep. Yeah.
And this is a college campus we're talking about.
Yes, a college campus.
There's now random white people roaming around this college campus. I feel in danger because every mass shooter that's been out of school has been white. Woo. And so I got a problem with these white people coming up here now at this historically Black college. Yep. With all the racism that's going on in this country. I would be scared for my life. Can I carry a gun now on campus?
Ooh, that part. That's a lot to get into, people. We can get into that too.
Why is nobody talking about that? We should be scared for our lives right now, being gentrified, and all the mass shooters are white males. You see a random one that you've never seen in your neighborhood in plain clothes, that should scare you.
But they're white.
But see, if you say stuff like that, it sounds racist.
Sounds racist, but it's actually true.
For white people to talk.
It's true. Like those are the mass shooters. That's the mass shooter in New Zealand was a white man. However, back to
I think more white men.
Hey, it's just reality of the situation. But back to the story at hand. So what happens is that there's a specific part of Howard University that's being used by specifically white people. There's usually only white people who do this, but like a dog park, right? So they're walking their dogs through this area, and they're just like letting their dogs shit and whatnot, and it's disruptive. And the Howard students are
sunbathing and also having picnics,
right? Now,
and sunbathing.
Exactly. Now the Howard students are like, listen, we don't really mind it sometimes, but the frequency at which people are doing it is kind of disrespectful. And at the end of the day, Howard University is a private university, not a public university. And we would appreciate it if y'all chilled on it. This lovely white man whose name I need to see.
That was in the interview?
Yeah, the guy that was in the interview was like, wow.
Just give me 1 second. I'll bring it up if you can't find
it. Yeah, that's no problem. He then said, he made a comment and said that basically the students there should, that DC is for everybody, and we are all neighbors, and we should treat it as a community, and if they don't like it, they should move the university. When I started this topic, I said Howard University had been there for 152 years, and this white man has claimed he's been there for 15. So the point.
Not only that, but he said this is our neighborhood, and not that anybody has a right to any part of the neighborhood.
No, that's what he said.
Howard University was started there. That means historically it was black, because they had to put it in a neighborhood where it'd be safe from the outside world that was going on around them. They had to insulate it. So that means that whole neighborhood around there had to be black. So what do you mean that this is our neighborhood when you're a new resident?
That part. Also,
who are you? Who is this guy? I'm gonna find his name.
A complete asshole. But I think this speaks to the larger part about the respect thing that white people don't give to black people. I'll give you guys a specific example, and I will state parallels. There is actually a park that is public. It's a park that's open in Texas. It's in a nicer neighborhood, and people go there and they take pictures all the time. Maybe it's annoying to the residents there, I don't know. However, in that situation, a white woman literally physically, there was a situation where a couple, it was a black woman and her child, right? That's why I wanted to bring it up. Black woman and her child, she was taking pictures for the child's first birthday. A white woman physically removes the blanket. She's yelling. She's having the child crying and all that stuff, talking about this is private property. You're not supposed to be here. And the city corrected her and was like, no, it's public property. They have every right to be there, and you're tripping.
She was a city official.
A city official. That's a crazy.
I believe she got fired for that.
Oh no, yeah, I'm sure she got fired. She got fired for that.
Or no, she was either that, or she was.
She was the ex-wife of the Astros owner, right? So like she got a whole bunch of money, right? So there was nothing there. She just had a whole bunch of money.
Yeah, she was rich.
Yeah, she was just rich. So, but with that situation, here you have a public park in which people can use all the time, in which people like the scenery and are doing things that they can do in the public park. This is a private university. A private university in which there's kind of like an unwritten rule that there are certain parts are in the university that they don't mind people being in, but it was exploited. And when the students said it was exploited, instead of people taking a step back and saying, white people really, instead of white people taking a step back and saying, okay, well, maybe we should respect the way in which we're using these grounds, they decided to go ahead and double down and be like, all right, you know what? Fuck this. This is public lands, and this is our community, and everybody should use it how we see fit. Nah, fuck that. That's disrespectful as fuck. Because had it been Harvard University, this wouldn't even be an issue, right? All white people had to do at like a Harvard University is say that I see black people around, I don't want them there. Gone. Gone. Yep. Howard University.
I was just about to say that because, like you were saying earlier, USC is in the hood.
Yep.
And I live over here by USC. It's right down the street. And at a certain time, you can't go in USC unless you have a student ID. Nope. And it's open to the public at certain times, but that's a private university.
Yep.
And you can't go on the campus unless you have ID. And you damn sure not going on the campus if you're a black male after night time. Just stopping you right there. Have security guards around the whole perimeter.
Wow.
Security guards everywhere around the whole perimeter that are checking for student ID.
Definitely.
And if you don't have student ID, you can't go inside.
Exactly.
Not of any building either. The campus. You can't go on the campus.
Exactly. And so, and this is the respect thing that I don't understand. Why black people are fighting for, that we know white people will never give us. But again, this just goes back to the point where it's like, it's instead of them saying to themselves, okay, well, maybe we're exploiting the situation a little bit. They doubled down and was like, okay, I want to use it as a fucking dog park. I'm going to use it as a fucking dog park. And maybe you should move the university. A university that's been there 152 years. A university that's responsible for educating our Black youth. Okay? This isn't like I don't care if this university is private or public. This isn't any random university. This university has history to it. And even if it was, how do you disrespect the students there who are just like, listen, I don't want to see a fucking dog come through every time I go. I don't want to step in shit. That's not what I want to happen.
Exactly.
I want to be.
Not only that, but
go ahead.
The audacity of him to even
the caucasity.
The caucasity. The caucasity of him to even suggest such a thing when he's new to the neighborhood and that school has been there for that long, or to suggest any business when they were already there before you is insane. Like, the entitlement, like, where do you get off thinking that you get to regulate things and you're new? They've been established there doing their daily routine, whatever goes on over there before you ever got there. And you get there and you think you just get to change things? Sounds very Columbus-like.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the point I'm trying to make. There's no respect when it comes to us. Seriously, like, no respect at all when it comes to us. The things we have built as respected universities such as Howard University. The fact that that's happening at all, to me, is beyond disrespectful. Like, it shouldn't be happening anyway, because if this was Harvard, if this is Yale, even if this is USC, like you just said, this would not be an issue at all. It wouldn't be an issue at all. But since it's Howard University, the Black people have to make concessions in a way. We have to like amend to what these people want to do. That's not okay. Like, it's not okay at all. And I didn't like that at all. And I hope they really do something about it. I forgot who it was I was listening to, but they said one of the things they should do, which I agree with, is just have some people around the neighborhood here in DC, especially Southeast DC, just go up there with their pit bulls. Have Howard University. That was Charlemagne. Yeah, that was Charlemagne. There we go. Charlemagne suggested that we have some lovely people from like DC here go up to that specific part of the university with Howard gear on. That way they, have a claim to say that they are students with like pit bulls and whatnot, and just go ahead and sit and see how, their attitude changes a little bit. Which
thing.
I agree. I completely agree with, because it's obvious that we won't get any respect.
And it wouldn't matter, because obviously those people that are going up there are not students.
That's another thing.
Not only that, but I would go as far as to even say that they would blend in with the school crowd more than the people who are there now.
Without a doubt. Right. So something definitely needs to be done about it. If I'm not mistaken, the president of Howard University actually put a stop to it. And he said if you're caught.
Yeah, he put out
a letter. Okay.
Yeah. I think I might be able to find it for you. I'm gonna look for it. I forgot to tell you though. I could hear your phone vibrating or something.
Hold on, because it's
let you know.
Hey, I'm gonna be 100 with y'all. There's something going on with my damn coworkers right now. They literally like are arguing in the group chat. I don't know. Like, no, seriously. Like, legit arguing, going back and forth, and I'm trying to figure out a way to stop it, but like I can't stop it, y'all. My bad.
It's all good. But the dude that said that suggested that Howard University should move from where they are, his name is Sean Robin Shaw. Not Robinson, Robbie Shaw. Sean Sean Grubbs Grubbs Robinsaw ROBISHAW. He's an interesting character too. Looks like straight out of the Lord of the Rings. Like the Hobbit. Not the Hobbit, whatever that little dude was called.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about, but I don't know what that is.
The grumpy one. That's why he's mad. He's probably little.
He got a big talk game though. Shit, he was talking a lot. Let's see if I've stopped my phone from vibrating. Yo, you right about that. Let me see. If I got this motherfucker to stop. How do I? Whatever. Anyway, I apologize about the vibrating sound, and if y'all have heard that. My coworkers literally like arguing with each other over coffee, by the way. Stupid. Over coffee, you'd be surprised. Anyway, so yeah, I had an issue with that, but I really more so have an issue with black people, and that's.
I didn't even know about it. You sent it to me, and
bro,
I was like, wow,
I thought it was the weirdest thing because it was like, first off, the fact that they even had to address it in the news just shows that it was a big thing around campus. Like, I'm sure the students were annoyed to a point where it showed the news, and on top of that, the response of people there is just like, oh, move the university. Like, for real, move the university that's been there, that's educating these students, instead of you not walking your dog in this particular part just because you want to, not because there are not other options, but because you want to. Come on now.
Yeah. There, in that same interview with that guy that said what he said, one of the students said that there's other parks. There are, because not University Park. There's parks around Howard University that they could go to, but they choose to go there because I guess it, has the biggest space there.
So it go to the students.
To that one.
Right. Like this. Oh my god. The mindset of some people literally is just to conquer, not share, but conquer. That's the difference. Black people share, white people conquer. I probably shouldn't have said that shit because people are gonna be mad, but I don't really give a fuck. Like I don't give a fuck.
Well, it's the truth. I think it's the truth in a way, because you gotta think of all the places they go. And it's not like they assimilate into the culture. They take over it and keep the things that they like and then dish them out in their, and literally there's a word for it in their whitewashed forms. So they consume a culture and then they give it back in their whitewashed forms.
And then they call it colonization.
That's what happens. Yeah, and there's words for it, for what they did. Like, those words didn't exist until, well, I'm sorry, let me not say that. But they weren't used the way that they were used until they did what they did, and now they're commonly known. Like, if you say a word like colonize or conquer, you already assume. You don't have to paint a picture, or color in the person you're drawing. It's like, all right, we know what those characters. You could draw stick figures and say these people conquered those people. Like, those people are brown over there, huh? It's a stick figure, though. You can just infer, that what's going on in the picture.
Yeah, I'm telling y'all. But nah, so there was that. Okay. So do we want to do the Notre Dame topic next, or do we want to get into like a larger conversation about white privilege, which I feel like we've kind of done a little bit with these topics?
Yeah. And we should do Notre Dame and then go into white privilege, because I think that's under there too, because that's why they got the money that they got.
True. All right. So if you guys don't know, there are the Notre Dame church burned. If you know anything about Notre Dame, the only thing I know about that Notre Dame church is from that movie with the Hunchback, that ugly ass nigga.
Yeah, Hunchback of Notre Dame, Quasimodo.
Yeah, Quasimodo. My guy. That was my guy.
Yeah.
He was cool people. I liked him. But anyway, the part that Quasimodo lived in, that burned. Not the church itself, not the entire church itself, but that specific part. And in 24 hours, $600 million was raised to build that part of the church back. The problem is that the Catholic Church is worth about $30 billion, so they had the money to build that part of the church anyway. Even more, the problem is that billionaires were really quick to go ahead and build a building. They were like, oh, let's donate to get this building built again. While there are people literally sitting in Flint, Michigan, and they still don't have clean water.
And I'm sure that, you know?
Go ahead.
I'm sure.
One more time, I didn't get it.
Huh?
I said one more time, I didn't hear you on that one.
I was saying, I'm pretty sure that building had insurance, you know?
Exactly.
They probably had insurance on the building. And they probably make a lot of money because they're not taxed. So when did they ever need those donations?
They didn't. People just, I don't know. People are stupid. This is the people are sheep part. But to that, there are 3 black churches that were recently burnt down that people believe was done by someone who was racist, or there was a race had a part to play in it, because the churches that were burned are 3 black churches specifically, and the person who did it is, suspiciously enough, the police chief's son. So
it's the sheriff's son.
The sheriff's son. The sheriff.
Yeah.
The sheriff's son burned down 3 black churches, and like nobody's donating to that. Nobody's trying to help the black people out. Nobody's trying to basically build those churches, but you can raise $600 million.
I must say, since just to cut you off though, it happened since the Notre Dame thing, since in between those black churches burning, Notre Dame happening, and making this podcast, because Notre Dame, the 3 black churches burned down first.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody really talked about them.
Nope.
And nobody when they found out who did it, the news went kind of quiet about it.
Yep.
You know, because it was a sheriff's son.
Yep.
You know, so it kind of got quiet. But then Notre Dame burned down. Then they got that money, $600 million, in 24 hours. When those other churches didn't get much, like I'm pretty sure they got a couple bucks, you know, because of GoFundMe and things like that. And there's still Christians around that will send dollars here and there, but it was nothing close to $600 million at all. But because of what happened at Notre Dame and people criticizing them and doing things like how we're talking about it right now, people donated money to those churches so they could get rebuilt.
Oh, wow.
So that's what I put in there. So now they've got money to be rebuilt, but it only happened after all those series of events. If Notre Dame wouldn't have burned and people didn't criticize them for getting that much money so fast, and these other churches are sitting on the wayside like, hey, what about us? Nobody would have done anything.
So basically, people, to sum that up, we had to shame people into donating to the black churches.
Pretty much.
Yeah, that's what we have to do. We have to shame people into donating into the 3 churches that burned down, instead of not shaming people into automatically putting their money into a $30 billion machine. That is a $30 billion machine already by itself. Interesting what we're willing to do. But what are your thoughts on the situation specifically?
This is what I wrote down because I wanted to say this about them getting that much money, was because they probably have insurance on that building, and now by you telling me that the Catholic Church is worth $30 billion, did you say? 30 billion? Yep. That's what you said? Wow. I didn't know that. So they more than enough money to rebuild that church. But since France got that money, to my knowledge, I don't remember how much is Haiti's debt to France. Maybe they should give that money to Haiti and not only pay off the debt that they owe to France, which is BS from the beginning. They should just give it to them off GP and just give it to them because they don't need it. And that's what churches are supposed to do anyway.
Now we're hitting something here, people.
Haiti has been owed money. They have been owed money by France, but instead they owe France. Because it doesn't make any sense. That's like what the people are love to call. They're using this phrase now, which we could talk about at a different time. Of DOS is ADOS, and DOS is descendant of slaves thing, which we got to get into that. But I just wanted to use that word since I was going to talk about this right now. But that's like saying that the people, the black people and the melanated people that were enslaved in America owe money, when France is the one that enslaved Haiti. Get out of here.
And
you guys just got donated this money. Shoot it this way. Thank you. And you still owe us some more.
Yep. And also, just in case anybody out there doesn't know, Haiti is the only country that's had a successful slave revolution, meaning that the slaves fought off their captors and they won. Haiti's the only country to actually do that.
Guerrilla tactics and machetes, and they had guns.
But the guy who was leading them was a tactical genius. We can get into that later too.
I was taught by a intelligent woman.
See, there's a whole bunch of knowledge that goes into that, and then oh man, it goes back to the point that we were making earlier. It's just that, see, with black people, we don't want our chance to hold the whip. We just want to be left the fuck alone. Haiti's been trying to they just want to be left the fuck alone. But according to France, they owe money to them. And I know, listen, I'm not the most intelligent person in the world. I know that there's a lot that goes into it. However, you can't tell me at the end of the day, all of it isn't some bullshit. Like it is. Like all of it is some bullshit. I know I'm getting a little bit off topic, but I just thought this was absolutely hilarious, right? I think they said the world is like $2 trillion in debt or something like that, right? And I saw a tweet that said, who the fuck do we owe? The Decepticons? Exactly. That's
you know, this made up idea of money in the first place that we now there's real natural resources and elements that are valuable. That's different than this concept that most people have when you talk about money. This paper stuff that they like to say on the morning show that I like to listen to on Zoe What show. Those are coupons. We got a pocket full of coupons, and people are judging each other because they got more coupons, and you can buy more stuff with your coupons than I can with mine. That's all you do. You know, we're just bigger kids at a Chuck E. Cheese, spending tickets, playing games, and spending tickets.
And that's the problem. We have completely shifted people's focus because really, as long as we have food, and we have a place and we have a roof over our heads, we should be good. Everything else is extra, people. Everything else is extra. Like which is why the places that literally could do for themselves, like in places where people all they know is farming, and like they have a place over their heads, or they can build it themselves, those are called the poorest places in America. But their value isn't money, because they have their food. Like they farm their food, right? They're able to have a place. They know how to build their place, but they're some of the poorest areas in the world. But their wealth isn't in money. It's in the actual things that are needed for us to survive. That's just something I want people to think about, because we put so much value on money, but we don't put any value on farming. We all address it as a means to survive. But I just feel like, especially in this country, we're so lucky that we can go to a grocery store. We don't know what it means to actually get up at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning, tend to a farm, tend to the crops, and have that be your food. And if you don't do that, you literally are not eating. So,
or not even that, be lucky enough to be able to do that, to where you have land to do that, as opposed to living in a city where those things are not possible, and you got to get up and walk miles and miles for water to drink, cook with, and all kinds of things like that. Like, we got it great, and people think they don't, because they don't have the newest whatever it is.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. Like, I think our sense of what's important is kind of warped a little bit. But to get into our larger topic, which is really kind of like about white privilege or white supremacy, however you want to think about it. First off, let's talk about what white privilege is. Adam, can you break that down for us, please?
Would you like me to use an example?
Yeah, go ahead and use an example.
White privilege is when, or you know how now in LA they have tote bags now, because you have to pay for plastic. White privilege is a white dude walking into a store with his tote bag confidently, grabbing items off the shelf, putting them in there without a care in the world, going down aisle and aisle, and then walking up to the front, paying or not paying, whatever he does, maybe putting something in his pocket, whatever he's doing, but without a care in the world. As opposed to me, a black man, seeing this as outrageous, because you already think I'm stealing when I walk into the store. And now you want me to bring a bag from home and put items into this bag that you can't see through before I can even get to the front of the store and pay for them, while you have security around following me, sometimes with a gun, and I'm grocery shopping. And I have to think about this, and all I came here for was some goddamn Captain Crunch. Now I'm being followed by an armed guard now, because I could be stealing. White privilege is not having to think about any of those things and just going on about your day. And I have to think about all that on just a simple trip to the store. All this happens within 30 minutes. And to a white person, they don't even have to think about that. It's just go in the store and get what I want and go home.
And it literally cost us our lives. Like, it literally has cost us our lives. Someone's fear of what we might do. Basically, a fear that shouldn't even be there in the first place. But someone's fear of what might happen has literally cost us our lives. But just to give another example, right? But just to give another example, because I had literally thought of this while you were saying it. I don't know if anybody's ever seen the movie Don't Be a Menace, but there's a scene, right? They're mimicking the entire movie is a parody off of movies that came out in the 90s, right? But there's a specific scene
of what they think black culture is like.
Right, of what they think black culture is like.
It's a parody of, yeah.
Right.
That movie is really deep. When you sit there and watch it, like,
what? That movie is actually super deep. Like, it's many people really
They're not even trying to think woke or anything like that.
But
you know,
but that movie,
you really gotta watch it and be like, wow, look what they're doing.
So many times, especially like the part where like they said something that was like message. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. There's like there's a specific part in the movie though where the Asian woman is harassing like the two black people, right? She's like, hurry up and buy, right? So it's funny because like she's in the freezer and they're trying to get some ice cream. And she's like, hurry up and buy, right? Now, with that, there's a white dude like in the store. He's stealing everything. He's putting everything in the bag, right? The Asian woman is so worried about the black people though. They're not even doing anything, okay? And then they get their stuff, they pay for it, they're about to be out, right? The Asian man says something stupid. They get into like a little shootout, right? Mind you,
he says, sorry about your mother.
Something disrespectful that you would like honestly whip somebody's ass over, right?
I feel sorry for you. Said I feel sorry for your mother.
I feel sorry for your mother. Again, it's a parody of another movie, right? But then, like, they get into a little shootout. Mind you, it's a comedy, so the black dude is not hitting at anything. There's bullets flying all around. The black dude's not hitting at anything. However, the white guy, he's got a bag full of shit, full of shit. He goes into the cash register, takes all of the money. The Asian dude stops him, says, "You forgot $1." He walks out. Walks the fuck out. Yep. like that people is white privilege. Okay, and if you think that's extreme, no, that's not extreme. That's not extreme, because if you look at the situation,
if you think that's extreme, then you should see the case. This young black dude just got sentenced to 12 years in prison, and he has to register as a sex offender because he left the bar with a underage girl who lied because she was at the bar and she was 17. So she got into the bar without ID, and he took her to his apartment really close to the bar. It's all on video, them walking to the bar. They made out, he says. They didn't do anything. They came back to the bar. She says that he raped her. They're going back and forth. Now this is he say, she say, right? He's got sentenced 12 years. Brock Turner was caught in the act of raping a girl, and this is a white dude, Brock Turner, was caught raping a girl, I think behind like a dumpster or something crazy like that. Caught in the act. He got 3 months.
3 fucking months.
So if you think that movie was extreme, it's not far-fetched.
It's not far-fetched at all.
Not far-fetched at all. It's not. It's just a parody, but they're telling the truth.
Exactly.
Some of the realest things are in comedy.
Yeah.
Some of the realest things are in comedy.
And
blow your mind.
I completely agree with that. But there's this with the whole Howard University situation that we brought up with the college admission scandal, and even in something as I wouldn't say it's like super small, but even the case with the 2 little girls being kicked out of school, there's like this larger thing of white privilege that we have in this country, and I don't think it's just in this country. I'm sure it's in Europe, and I'm sure it's permeated in other places in ways that they don't think it has, but it's definitely there in other places where this is white superiority to everything. So white is right, and they can do no wrong, and anything opposite of that, especially black, is something you need to watch out for. So it's this excessive need, or it's this excessive idea of that the black man is dangerous. The black man is dangerous. The black man is uneducated. The black woman is ghetto. The black woman is devalued. The black man is literally seen as a sex symbol, right? Like, to me, you guys are a little bit fetishized in the media, especially with white women and things of that nature. But it's like this overall idea, again, that white is right and white is everything, that people kind of acknowledge, but that they don't acknowledge. I don't know. I'm trying to think.
You're definitely right. Definitely right, dude. It's not. What's it called? The level playing field for us.
There is no level playing field for us, and I think that's the part I'm trying to get to. But this ideology and where it came from and where it started, I think is interesting.
The ideology of white privilege.
Of white privilege in general.
But yeah. See, that would be a deeper conversation into race.
I know, which is why I low-key want to get into it, but I don't know if this is like the episode I want to do it with, because it's also and bringing that up to the listeners, I also wanted to bring up the idea as racism being a mental illness, right? not just like something that we think is terrible, but like as an actual mental illness. That there's something wrong with people who think they are better purely based upon the color of their skin. Like that's it. So
Yeah, I think that's going to be a deeper conversation because is it a mental illness or is it human nature to just feel inherently better than your counterpart or your somebody who you're going up against, because like I mean guys do that all the time when in any activity. I'm better than them just because I'm me, no matter what it is. It could be any aspect of what makes you. But I think when it gets to race, and especially something, because race is something that you can't change, that you were given, other things you could work for or you could change, but race and gender or sex, however people, that's a touchy topic.
sure.
Never mind. I'm gonna just stick to race. Race is something that you can't change. And it's one of those things that it's just like an identifier.
Okay. So I have a question. So when does it kind of cross the line? Because you said men do that a lot. Like they feel like, okay, I'm better than you because I'm me, which I don't necessarily think is the issue. But there's like a line that gets crossed. It's like not that I'm better than you because I'm me, and not like in a oppressive way, but more of I'm better than you, not just because I'm me, because I'm white, and I feel like everything else should be under, like legit under me. And if you're not like kissing my feet, I don't know what the fuck you're doing, kind of thing.
Now that's where the problem comes in, or the mental illness. I just don't want to. I don't know if that's it. That we should call it that. But that's where the problem comes in, because then you run into other things. Like if you think you're better than someone just because of something else, you don't really understand what it is that you're doing, because you're better in this aspect, but what about this other one? Like white people think that they're superior. Okay, superior to what? Most times they would say to black people. If they're superior to black people, what makes you superior to them? Because if you're going by intelligence, prove it. What do you have that is more intelligent than what black people have created? There's nothing that I have seen. You have some proof. Even if you go to nature, okay, white people are better than black people. How? Prove it. Show me something. If you don't have a solid argument behind it, it doesn't make sense. And that's where I could see it being a mental illness, because you're delusional.
That's interesting. Okay.
I think there's a argument if black people are like, we're superior because if we take away everything, strip away everything. And I'm not saying that, I'm just giving an example. You strip away everything and we just stand outside all day. I think black people are superior because you're going to get sunburned and you're going to get burned out here in this environment. That's just facts. White people are going to get fucked up out there in the sun. If you go to knowledge, the other example I gave, what do they have that is as amazing as the pyramids in Giza? Nothing. There's nothing on the planet that is that amazing right now that is still standing aligned with the stars like it is.
We're taught to think though as primitive. Like we're taught to be amazed at those societies, but at the same time we're taught to believe them as primitive. Like they were still primitive societies, despite all of the advancements that they had at the time, especially the intelligence that they had at the time.
The advancements that they had proves to us that they weren't primitive. It shows you, like from their language that we can't even decipher now, to their archaeological structures that we can't replicate.
That we're still trying to figure out how they were built.
Part of that is primitive,
by the way. Like, let's put that out there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Nope.
Yeah,
Neither can I. I'm not gonna try to. Like that's over my head.
yeah, that's hard because you gotta also think they're still standing and they look beautiful now, but they were covered in limestone, reflecting the sun. So like that, what they did was something I couldn't even fathom right now.
Neither can I. You know? And coincidentally, all the noses were shut off.
That's
nope.
That's no coincidence. That's no coincidence. Like once you see so many statues like that, you gotta start to think like, hey, somebody wants to hide something. And if it's the same people that are hiding the knowledge that they're hiding from us right now, they probably don't want you to know that you look like these great people. So they, you know, like, why would I show these features? Like, I think they would have shot off the noses off the OMAC heads if they weren't buried. If they didn't, somebody else would have found them first. They would like they would have blown those whole things up. You saw the noses or the structures, the Easter Island, I forgot they call it Moai or something like that. There's statues there.
No, I don't think I've seen that one.
On Easter Island, there's these heads that are there too, and they thought they were just heads, but when you dig into the ground, they're full bodies, and they have these really strong features of the people from Easter Island, like nothing like the Europeans that are there.
Okay. I didn't know about that. There's some research I gotta do on that one. Oops. My bad, Joe.
Yeah. But imagine that is like that is a part of that white privilege thing though too, because they get to go around the world destroying our history and our artifacts with no repercussions. But you walk into anywhere and like say, I don't know, that's kind of hard to say because most of their artifacts come from us anyway. But like, say you go into a museum.
That's the thing. We don't even get the chance to know that. We think everything that is everything. We think civilization, even today, as it is right now, is because
it's made it from.
You know, like that's what we're trained to think. We're trained to think that anything and everything that has happened and society is where it is now, and the only way we've advanced is because of white people, right? And I think that right there is white privilege itself. It's seeing like all the advancements, all the technological advancements, or a good majority of them, and or just like society advancing in general, getting to see people and faces that look exactly like you doing those things and coming up with the conclusion that the only way these things happen is because people like us, of our skin color, legit of our skin color, only solely based upon that, are the only people who can push this world forward.
Yeah.
As a primitive ideology to me.
But see, that's what they're doing though, and because it works, that works. It's in the same way that they use that image of Jesus to push that agenda of we are so close to God, why question anything that we ever say?
Sure.
It works. Like the same thing with that when they give little girls dolls and they ask them who's smart and who's pretty and all that stuff. Being force-fed that stuff over and over again has an impact on you, consciously, subconsciously. It's gonna mess with you. It's gonna change.
We got to get into a conversation eventually about colorism in the Black community, because I think that's something really big that's plaguing the Black community in general. I know we kind of touched on those subjects in the last episode, just like a little bit, not too much. But I think that's something that we have to talk about, because it's gotten bad. It's gotten to the point where we feel like I'm thinking about this because at my job I see many different kinds of people every day. But I saw this one woman come up and my heart dropped. I didn't I'd never seen someone in real life who I could say had bleached their skin up until about a couple of days ago, and it was clear as day. Like it's, I don't know how to describe it, but when someone bleaches their skin, you know, there
Yeah.
there's just something about it that's off, right? It's not, it's very simple. Like you can look at it and like that's like you weren't born like that. Like there's something stripped away from you. And that's what this woman looked like. Like she looked like, obviously she had obviously bleached her skin. She didn't say so or anything like that, nor am I allowed to ask her. But she had bleached her skin, and I want to know, like, what in her life made her do that. I'm sorry. I know we're getting a little bit off topic, but that's.
We could do that on the next one. I would definitely love to talk about that. I'll send you some links about some of the stuff, because that's a great topic, especially for our community.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say we have about like 15 minutes left, so we could keep going on the same topic, but make sure when it gets close to the end, we leave some room so we could add some music finally, because I said I was gonna put that on the last one, and then also so we could throw out the social media and advertise that, so we could get some followers, get some comments, get a little buzz going, all that kind of stuff.
True. Okay. Just a couple of final thoughts on the whole white privilege situation, just because I want to leave us room, that way if you want to add something you can, or like just anything. My final thoughts, I do think that white privilege is something in this country that we really need to look at a little bit further. My final thoughts on the situation, I just don't think Black people will ever get the respect that we deserve, or the respect that we really have earned in this country. And I don't think this country is the place that we should be looking for this respect. I honestly believe that Black people should go back to Africa, and build up our countries there, and then have that place be like our base, and not worry about other places, or trying to get respect from other countries in that way, right? In the same way that I would never expect a Gucci or Louis Vuitton or any of those other high fashion brands to give us that respect, but instead invest in our own brands, right? So it's kind of those parallels that I see. So those are just kind of like my final thoughts about the situation. Obviously, I think white privilege and I think racism itself, I think, is a disease. I think it's I honestly believe that in order for you to think that someone, and I know it's not solely just based on race, but it's a big part of, well, no, yes, it's solely based on race, but what I meant to say, I know it's not solely based on the fact that somebody's skin color is paler than mine. Like there are supposedly other things that go into it. Like I believe the fact that I forgot what idiot said it, but one person said the fact that white people can digest milk makes them genetically superior, or some dumb shit like that. Anyway, the point being that I do think that racism is a disease that we should address as a disease. And until we address it as a disease, this whole white privilege thing will continue. And I think white people in general need to look at their actions, especially in the cases of like a Howard University or like the college admission scandals, and see what they can do to at least to get better in those situations and not disrespect the people and the things that were already there. But that's just me.
And my last thing I'm gonna say is about the two little girls getting kicked out of school in Ohio, in Akron, Ohio, going to that Christian private school. I think they should just let people know that they should, for one, read contracts, read them, and make sure you know exactly what you're signing up for, especially if you're going to involve your kids. And second thing is, don't go into a religion unless you know everything about it. You are going to be a full-hearted follower about it, because at the end of the day, people are in religions to save their lives, literally, so they could live eternal lives, or depending on what religion you follow, they're in that for a reason, and they take it seriously, and they might not like you playing around in it, obviously, because people kill themselves and they have wars about it, all kinds of stuff. Just don't play with religion and read your contract.
Please, people, read your contracts. Also, public service announcement to everybody. This is probably towards white people because I deal with them on a daily basis at the job that I have. I don't give a fuck that the service that you are using is for you to go somewhere faster. I don't give a damn. Like, I don't care if you want to get in front of the line 2 seconds faster than this person, but you're basically putting on my job on the line to do it. Like, I'm sorry, I am not like you, and I do not make Ubers of millions and thousands of dollars. I am not there yet, but I really could give a fuck about how you feel about the situation. I'm tired of your snarky comments about, oh my God, this is supposed to be faster. It's not my fault, bitch. Like, I do not control the technology at all whatsoever. It's not my fault that there's something wrong in the system. I want everything to go smoothly too, because I don't even like you, but I can't say that to you. Not yet. When I quit, you will hear from my black ass. That's all I have to say about that. I'm sorry.
Hey, I don't know. All right. Also, you can follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at perplexing.generation. Follow us. Let me make sure so I get everything right. I'm gonna pull them up for you.
And while he's doing that, yes, we have the socials now, people. We're trying to be a little bit more social with you guys, but also we just want a platform where we can interact with you guys, and you guys can tell us our thoughts and what you think. If you disagree with our opinion, you can disagree with our opinion. Don't be disrespectful about it, because I'll be disrespectful to your ass right back. I don't give a fuck. I have like no give a fuck's energy lately.
I say no censorship. Say whatever you want to say. I'm gonna read all of it. But just know you might get roasted.
You might get roasted. Also, I don't mind constructive criticism. If there are things that you feel like we can do better, definitely let us know, and we will try to integrate those things. But yeah, just let us know what you think. And also, now you have like a platform to actually share our podcast. And we can let y'all know what's coming. We can let y'all know things that we're trying to do. So just hit us up at all of our socials. You said we're on Twitter, Instagram, and we got a YouTube page, right?
Yep. So the Twitter is perplexing_gen. That's it. Perplexing_gen. And the full page name is Perplexing Generation. But it's at perplexing_gen. It's capitals on the perplexing and on the gen. And we got Instagram at perplexing.generation. And then our YouTube channel is called, Perplexing Generation. Everything is under Perplexing Generation. Luckily, I got it for everybody else.
Right. Right. I was just thinking about that shit.
So it's all. Also, you could send us direct emails if you're not a social media person. Just send us an email at perplexinggeneration@gmail.com.
Yeah, we'll take your emails too. If it's hate emails, I will post that shit. Okay, I will definitely post that shit. I will try to find you, because niggas like to hide behind their computer screens, and I'm not afraid to pull up. I'll let you know that right now. So don't be near me trying to talk shit, because I will find you. I will not afraid to be knock on your door.
You can send stories that you might want us to talk about.
All kinds of shit. Y'all can send all kinds of shit. We'll see. We'll read it. We'll figure it out. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. The one correction, the Instagram, if you're searching for it, it's perplexing_gen. Same thing, but it's lowercase. Okay. So perplexing_gen, Instagram and Twitter, perplexing generation at gmail.com for the email. So
hit us up. Also, I said I would do this every week. Is like recommend a book for y'all to read. The book this week is called the Browder Files. Now, I'm recommending a book every week. You got to read it in a week. I'm a fast reader, so but like these are books that I think that we should read and just like to elevate ourselves and elevate our mindset and where we're trying to go. So the Browder Files, by Anthony T. Browder. Go ahead and check that book out. It's really dope.
That dude is dope, and I would say if you're not a reader, but you should definitely read. If you're not a reader, check out Anthony T. Browder's interview on the Rock Newman Show, which I think is also ironically at Howard University.
Interesting.
The Rock Newman Show, Anthony T. Browder.
All right. In the interest of us like putting some more shit in here just in case, we out of here, y'all. We'll see y'all next week. Peace.
It's a 2-hour show pretty much. So yeah, love, peace, and hair grease.
We out.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.